Listen to episodes of the Nerd Soup Podcast at nerdsouppodcast.buzzsprout.com. We got a good cold opening, and he's on his phone.
I'm getting my fucking notes out, for God's sakes.
Your notes?
Yeah.
Let me see your notes.
I stopped like 30 minutes in, but I know where I want to go.
Disagree with Bo. Actually, disagree with Teddy a couple more times, but yeah, mostly Bo.
We're safe. America is secure. You want my property? You can't have it. But I did you a big favor. I have successfully privatized world peace.
We're adjourned for the day. You've been a delight.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I'm Bo Oliver, joined today by Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and Teddy. And we are back to review Iron Man 2, the sequel to 2008's Iron Man. Not as beloved.
No, I wasn't a fan of it.
I was going to say, if you guys were fans of it, I didn't want to offend you. That would have been surprising. But
Well, if I am a fan, you think that'll make for a better review?
that might, yeah,
We're
you
just
might have
going
to be
out.
the Skip Bayless of Iron Man 2.
All right. I think it's better than the first one. Don't
Yeesh.
ask me to prove it.
It's his opinion, right?
Yeah.
You don't gotta back up your own opinions.
No, this movie definitely wasn't as good as the first one.
Okay,
and
yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, I can't.
Let's not lie to the people.
Iron Man 2, no, not as good as the first one, and it's very derivative of the first one, because there are still things I like about it, because mainly it is Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man that is so appealing. I think it's more fun to talk about than a Hulk, because the Hulk is just a dull 2 hours. This one, there's things I actually really don't like, and stuff I do, so.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot more that I didn't like. I just didn't like where they went with Tony's character for the first hour and a half of the movie. It was
The first 2.5 acts.
yeah, I know.
You liked it when he got his shit together at the end.
Yeah.
You're like, after all the hardship, after all the struggle.
I would have liked that struggle to be like a half hour, maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny because the behind the scenes for this movie and the first movie, it seems that there were problems for both films. And this one was more of just different directions that they wanted to go. And people criticize this movie for being more of a setup for the Avengers that would come out 2 years later. Because you bring in Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson. This might be the best she's ever looked. Just want to put that out as a side note. She looks fantastic. Samuel Jackson, hey, not too bad himself either. But you're bringing in S.H.I.E.L.D. and you kind of want to make the universe, I guess, a bit larger. That was also the problem with Ultron. But it definitely hampers this movie. I think so.
Well, I think the rap that MCU films got early on was that their villains were just atrocious, and my God. I love Mickey Rourke. I love him. Wrestler he's so good in that movie. He is not great in this one. And I don't think I put that all on him, but they gave nothing to this character. And even Hammer, too.
I thought he was
What is-
funny.
You didn't like Sam Rockwell in this?
No, I didn't.
He had
Very
his funny
annoying.
jokes, his funny quips.
I like him in the Moon movie. What's that called?
Moon.
Yeah.
I thought he was funny in this. He's like an alternate reality Tony Stark. He's not as handsome. He's not as funny. He's not as smart, but he was goofy. He was supposed to be. The thing is, he works better if Ivan Vanko is a better villain. And this is
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke coming off of his comeback. This is just off the wrestler nomination that he got for the Oscar. And he's another disgruntled Marvel actor. When they talk about Marvel wasting actors, all the preparation he did for this role. And yeah, he's very underused. He sucks. He looks terrible.
But this fight,
He's not funny. He's
Well,
not
the
intimidating.
thing about-
He's nothing.
The thing about Hammer's character, I hate when like movies make these characters annoying and every time they're on the screen, you just want them to get off because there's nothing to that character. And that's kind of like it's kind of an easy way out. But like with Joffrey, he was annoying, but he made the show much better by his presence. As much as we hated him, Game of Thrones, those early seasons, would miss him greatly if he wasn't there. This character, that's not the same.
Yeah, you
Just
almost want
sucks.
Tony Stark, because he is his own comic relief, to be going up against a villain who's kind of like Ivan Vanko, more quiet, more intimidating. And like I said, I think if that villain was better, then the Hammer character would be more well received. And he doesn't die at the end, so they could bring him back maybe. But he's there to be the industrial capitalist guy who wants to steal this technology. You know, he's a rich evil guy.
yeah,
Well,
but
both-
if you're not gonna delve too much into, what's his name? I can't say it.
Hammer?
Ivan? No,
Ivan Vanko.
Ivan Vanko.
Justin?
Robert?
Well, like if you're not gonna delve into too much with Ivan, what is it?
Ivan Vanko.
Vanko. I keep saying Dronko. If you're not gonna delve too much into Ivan Vanko,
Ivan Drago.
that wasn't it, was it?
No.
Did I say it wrong?
No, you said it right.
That's why you gotta do that.
Because you wanted to. In your head, you wanted to say Ivan Drago.
Ivan Vanko.
Ivan Vanko.
Well, if you're not going to delve too much into Ivan Vanko, why at least make the fight a little longer? This is the second movie in a row where they went with the last fight to be like a 30-second fight.
Well, I don't mind the fight at the end because it is smaller and it is very much, I have this vendetta against your family because my father, I feel like he was cheated. And then we learn the real history from Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury. And that goes into, Robert Downey Jr. confronting his father, that their icy relationship. We also see that in Endgame as well. But I don't know. It's like you have to create a new element.
Congratulations, son. You have created a new element.
That's such a ridiculous line. But the technology, the science in these movies, it's always like a montage, and then they accomplish history.
I like the engineering.
Seems
montages.
doable, though.
Yeah, right. No, it's like there's no possible way to synthesize it. Well, we just got to go to a different place. Or, I don't know. That plot line is kind of ridiculous. Him hiding the.
There was like 6 plot lines in this movie.
Yeah, him hiding it in the map of the Stark Expo. It was, I don't know. It's all over the place, but it's very simple, which is always disappointing when your movie is convoluted, but it's not convoluted in a clever way.
Yeah. And I think going back to the villains, just their motivations, both of them. They're just jealous of Tony Stark. And I get the whole thing with him and his father and that kind of distrust, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it at all. And when he comes out in the racetrack scene, he's not wearing like a suit of armor or anything. If he gets hit by one of those, he's donezo.
You're telling me nobody hit him?
I would hit him.
What are you, Tony Stewart? Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?
That was actually a scene that I didn't like.
What?
When
the racing scene and then the fight?
The
great
fight
suit up though. I love that suit up.
Oh,
yeah, that was
about
about that's why you
Yeah,
made that movie.
sick.
It's for that part right there.
The whole movie is just for that moment.
But the scene I didn't like is when Happy rams into him, and then it was just annoying hearing them all bicker. Like it was just felt like they were all talking at the same time.
Right. Well, they were trying to recreate that comedy, that fast-paced
Yeah.
dialogue from the first movie, but it just doesn't work. It's like the Arkham Asylum to an Arkham City, where it's just the same kind of template, but just because it's the same doesn't mean it's going to be as good because you're not building on it. But like we said, I mean, we should probably talk about Robert Downey Jr. in the role. I think for his character, he's very well written in this movie, even if he doesn't have a lot of interesting things to do, but his dialogue is on point. He's just as snappy as he's ever been. And I think that's what saves it for me. Mm-hmm. That's what brings it to like a 6 level because he's just so good as his character. And I love spending time with him.
Yeah, that's one of the saving graces of the film, and I do think there are a lot of cool parts of this movie and a lot of things I enjoy. And the main reason is Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. He's just so great for the role.
Well, what do you think
And
about
even-
Don Cheadle coming in?
I like Don Cheadle's War Machine, and I think throughout the rest of the movies of the MCU, he's been perfect for that role. So I don't mind it at all. And I think him and Robert Downey Jr. have great chemistry together.
Yeah, they do. And their fight scene, I thought that was one of the funniest lines of the movie. Give me a fat beat to kick my buddy's ass.
Yeah, I like that.
Goldstein,
Yes, Mr. Stark.
give me a fat beat to beat my buddy's ass.
That whole fight scene, I thought that was the best fight between Rhodey and Tony.
Yeah, that
Fighting
was
with
awesome.
weights. That was
And you know what else I thought was fantastic? The first scene, the Senate hearing. It was great. It was funny.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
great when he hacks into it and shows them all the other governments and even Justin Hammer trying to recreate this technology.
Hammer's speech was just a nothing speech. I don't think he said anything of.
he even said
importance
"God
in
bless
that
Iron
one.
Man."
Yeah, it was
That's what
it
threw
was
me off.
it was like a politician speech. It could have been, I don't know. I think
There was nothing about that would be like, oh yeah, he makes a good point. Maybe we shouldn't. Tony Stark shouldn't have this weapon.
yeah, no, he was kind of being eaten alive. Gary Shandling though as the senator. Hail Hydra.
It is funny at the end when he has to do that speech for them.
Show him how annoying a little prick can be.
And even like some of the references to what we know now to be the greater MCU, I enjoy all that stuff going back. I like seeing Black Widow. I like seeing Nick Fury into play. Coulson, at the time, maybe I didn't understand any of that shit that was going on, and we didn't know where this whole universe is headed. But looking back, those are some of the aspects I enjoyed too.
Yeah, Coulson gets sent to New Mexico. That's
Yeah,
Thor.
that was
and that's
great.
where he begins the Thor movie. And
Yeah,
that's
isn't
the
it-
next one, right? Yeah.
Isn't it cool to look back on when you were watching it? Like you just said, like you didn't know what was going on, and then as you were watching, you found out, and then you put the things you tied them together, and then now you're rewatching it, knowing everything. It's like how well put everything was, and how like precise they were with the movies.
Well,
It's
like
lightning in a bottle.
it's every time I see Tony, I'm like, he's gonna be in space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
weird. He's going to be fighting Thanos.
Isn't Isn't it crazy looking at Tony in this movie compared to what he is like now? Because he's like the boys in that Amazon show. He's like the embodiment of what the boys are.
Yeah, and I think in this movie
And to think that he's going to be the fucking savior of the world.
Well, he definitely brags about the peace that he's brought to the world, but I think he's more playing the part than he actually is that person versus the first movie where he was a playboy. And I think that's also missing too, is that traumatic event where Iron Man 1 does get real serious and dark, and he has to overcome a giant hurdle. I guess it's more personal in this because he is dying from the arc reactor and he's keeping that away from Pepper, and that puts a strain on their relationship even though he has elevated her in the company. I think she's fine. Gwyneth Paltrow, I mean, they continue to have great chemistry, and I like the things that they did with Pepper's character in this movie. I mean, they always keep her there. I mean, her plots are never, she's never used as really a plot device, you know? She's her own person in these films.
I love that role.
It's the issues that they're dealing with, I guess, just aren't as dramatic in this movie. So it kind of feels a bit more silly, a bit cheesier.
It kind of makes you think. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like after the first one, he feels like he's invincible. And then now he's playing off this persona where he is like a god and that no one can really fuck with him. So the whole movie, he just like doesn't care. So it kind of does like set
and him
up
dying
Tony Stark.
Also, too.
Yeah. And it also, it just like, it sets him up for the rest of the years. Now he knows like he needs to relax and take this shit serious, you know?
Right, and if they would have focused more on that, kind of his new, I guess, fatalistic view of his own life and his purpose, that it could be ending, but then he has to deal with his past demons with his father. That's really interesting, but, I mean, you know, there's a scene where he's driving and he gets the strawberries. It's a terrible scene.
Oh, because Pepper is allergic to strawberries.
Right, yeah, that to me, it's, you're just wasting time there, you know? But
take the watch.
Well, that's supposed to be Spider-Man at the expo.
Oh, really?
He's like, good save, kid.
Oh, really?
Kid. Yeah.
No.
That's a retcon.
I did find interesting, too, all the stuff with his father and going back and reflecting on that, especially since we've seen Howard Stark a few times. I mean, how old was he in?
Yeah, I don't know. And
I
like
to be like 20s, young 20s.
That's Dominic Cooper who plays him in the first Avenger. I love him too. I love the actors they got for Howard Stark. And he's a very interesting. He's like one of the Targaryen kings that did a lot of shit that impacts the story currently. Because even Tony realizes that he was one of the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, he's told that by Nick Fury. So it's. I mean, I love the stuff that they designated for them in Endgame. I didn't feel like that was a waste of time. I felt like that was nice closure for that character.
Yeah, but I feel like that didn't really carry the weight from this point to that point.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
Like, it's to be revisited in the final movie for so long.
Right.
Where I feel like a lot of people watch that scene in Endgame, and it's kind of like, oh, you get to see your dead dad again. And that's a nice moment, but they don't really remember all the turmoil and how he felt in this movie, where he felt like he never loved him and got the attention that he got as his son.
Yeah, unless you're hardcore and you really do remember. Because he's got other issues in the movies, but they're not daddy issues. I guess Civil War, they address it a bit in that flashback. But yeah, no, it definitely doesn't. They didn't build on it enough, but...
Yeah.
That's tough, though.
Yeah, no, it's that's why Endgame, it's such a juggling act. That's why I'm always so impressed rewatching it. Scarlett Johansson, I thought everything with that introduction scene in the boxing ring, to me, was hilarious.
Yeah, I was happy. I slipped.
Yeah. When he's drinking the whatever he's got, and he's, what? And she's just smiling. She's got a great smile, man.
Yeah, she does.
So mischievous. I think she's she's more of a plot device in this film than she is in the others. Not necessarily a plot device, but she is just kind of there. No, she's
just casing the scene. She's casing Stark.
Yeah, she's casing Stark. She's there because she's going to be in the Avengers.
Yeah.
I think that's what really... I mean, it doesn't hurt that it is Scarlett Johansson. Brings more eyeballs, but she's got the great action scene. That's one of my...
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the funniest scene of the movie.
Oh, when Javi's just fighting the one guy, and she just takes out the whole room.
I got him.
No, I think it was a great introduction to this character. It kind of showed her, like, kind of gaining intel and working behind the scenes as, like, a double agent, I guess, with S.H.I.E.L.D. and trying to get information on Tony. And that fight sequence was awesome, so...
Olivia Munn. She's a reporter in the beginning.
Yeah.
Hey there, Olivia Munn. You're going to be in an X-Men movie.
You know, I had no idea Elon Musk was in this movie until today.
Yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, now Elon Musk has gone completely like Tony Stark in Iron Man 3 in real life. Just going crazy.
Well, what do you think about, like...
Bill O'Reilly cameo? There are a lot of fucking cameos in this movie. Holy shit, dude. Larry Ellison?
I wonder, can an A-list celebrity just say, I want to be in, like... Can they hit up like Feige and say, I just want to be in it for a second?
I think like
if put him in.
Yeah, if Jordan wanted to. I'm surprised Eminem hasn't popped up. I know Eminem's a big comic guy.
Yeah, he is. Hell, I would.
Well, even got Matt Damon in an MCU movie. He's the king of cameos.
Yeah, he is. He's got some weird ones, man.
I love it.
The Unsane was, the Unsane was, you have to stop this.
Oh, when I first saw Interstellar, I knew nothing going into it. So,
That's not a cameo.
I know, but when he popped up like an hour and 15 minutes into the film, I'm like, holy shit, it's Matt Damon. Yeah, I mean, everything with Tony was great, but every time they cut back to
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, and Hammer and all those scenes, I just didn't give a shit. I didn't care. I didn't care about their motivations. Why now? I don't know. It just really took what could have been a pretty good inclusion to the MCU. If those villains worked and they were great and were like some of the villains that we praise in the MCU, this movie could have been on par with the first one, I think. But that just brings it down so much where it's just, I don't know what they were trying to go for or what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work at all.
Well, the comic they wanted to adapt was a famous Iron Man comic called A Demon in a Bottle, and it is kind of his life unraveling, and he's going through alcoholism, and he's battling that. And they kind of do some of that in this movie, and you wish that that's what they would have focused on with Ivan Vanko and Justin Hammer. Leave out the Avengers stuff. But Favreau is very much caught between studio and storytelling here, and it shows. And it's happened before. It happens in the future in Age of Ultron.
They really don't lean into it that much, though.
No.
It's just that one scene when
there.
he's playing DJ and he's drinking. It's like, oh, I guess he has a real bad problem now.
Right, yeah.
It's not drawn out. It's not really well developed. It's just, oh, look, Iron Man, but he has a drinking problem and he's dealing with this issue that he's going to die soon and this is going on and there's a guy trying to kill him. One thing I do like, though, those clean cuts with the whip. Oh, that's so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it's very...
It's a bad
pleasurable.
weapon, though. The whip. Well, no, like Indiana Jones whip, that's fine. But how do you even...
You're left vulnerable if you miss with the whip.
Yeah, how do you work those things without touching you? I'd have all my limbs chopped off in 10 seconds.
I'm always afraid with the lightsaber, too. You know, wielding that lightsaber, you fumble it. You might die. You know?
The Force.
Well, you can fumble the Force.
Can you?
Yeah, you forget to turn it on. I don't know. It's like a switch.
I can see myself putting it
Force
away.
meter ran out.
Yeah, your Force, you got to build it up. It's like XP.
I can see myself putting the lightsaber away and like hitting it on by accident.
Yeah, right.
And putting it
Plaxico
through my
Burris
leg.
yourself in the club. You're in the canteen and all of a sudden your fucking leg bleeds. Well, it doesn't bleed, actually. Well, someone in the comments. Well, technically. What was your point that you were making?
Something about the whip, and if
He
I
likes
was
the
using
whip.
Oh, right, the
I'd
whip.
cut my limbs off.
I did like when he started pulling the whip. I do like that first fight on the racetrack.
You know,
I did feel bad for the driver.
The driver, yeah. I was just going to say that.
He's
Your big
just trying to
moment.
win a race, man.
It reminded me of
Whole family's watching.
The Dark Knight Returns when Batman's driving.
Oh, yeah,
Bruce
100%.
Wayne.
Yeah.
I like that.
I wonder if that was a reference to that. Favreau, he's steeped in his comics and his Star Wars and his Marvel. That's why I feel bad for him, because there was a film he wanted to make, and he's obviously gotten a lot of chances over the years.
It's not bad by any stretch. It's not like he completely embarrassed himself, but there are just some things that didn't work.
You kind of like commend him for trying. Like he tried implementing all this stuff in the comics, but you know it's unfortunate that it didn't work out to where he probably wanted it to. But good try. That end credit scene though was dope with the hammer. That was sick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You didn't fast forward the credits.
No, I totally forgot that there was a Thor end credit.
Yeah.
I just turned it off.
Yeah, no,
Went
they
on
teased
with my
Thor.
life.
Oh, real quick too. Disney Plus.
They pulled him off.
The closed captionings are terrible on that app.
Dude, how was your actual video though? Mine kept like lagging out and like,
you got that Target Wi-Fi.
okay.
Yeah, you're trying to connect to the Wendy's down the block.
You know what's there? They probably have.
They changed the password again.
Try 4 for 4.
No, I don't do that though. That's illegal.
Oh, guess the video's over. Ended pretty abruptly. Hey guys, Bo Oliver here for one final send-off, and before we go, we would like to thank our very special Patreon members, pledgers, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. You keep the lights on here at the studio, so it's really our pleasure to review all these movies, TV shows, video games that we all know and love. And we actually have a couple of shows that have been suggested by Patreon members that we will be reviewing in the next couple of weeks. And if you're a fan of anime, get excited because we have Neon Genesis, My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, not technically an anime, but also Castlevania. And of course, if you want to visit our Patreon page and pledge, see the different rewards that we have, maybe you can suggest a show, a movie, a video game. Or maybe you don't want to do any of that. Honestly, watching up until this point of the video is good enough for me. So, thank you out there, and stay safe.